Hello and welcome. I'm so pleased to be here with all of you, the students of Europe Hotel School. In today's hospitality industry, everything comes down to data and having really clear goals. I've spent years in modern hotel operations, and trust me, one thing is absolutely certain. A high-performing sales team is your single most valuable asset. So today, we're going to dig into a critical piece of that puzzle, how to effectively evaluate your corporate sales teams. Ready? Let's dive in.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break this down. We'll start with the why. Why is performance evaluation so fundamental to excellence? Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty, the what. What should you actually be measuring? After that, we'll look at the how, the process in action. And finally, we'll connect all the dots and see how this drives real long-term success for your hotel.
All right, let's start with that foundation. In the world of hospitality sales, things move fast. A performance evaluation, it's not just some annual chore you have to get through. No, it's the absolute central pillar holding up your entire team. Think of it like this. It's both your diagnostic tool to figure out exactly where you are, and it's your roadmap for where you need to go.
And this is such a crucial shift in perspective. A great evaluation isn't about looking back and judging past mistakes. Not at all. It's about creating a clear, data-driven plan for the future. It's how you take all those little daily observations and turn them into real, actionable insights and concrete steps for getting better.
But what's the alternative? What happens if you just don't have a structured system for this? The reality is you could have the most talented, most dedicated sales team in the world, and they can still lose their way without that clear direction and consistent feedback.
And this is exactly what that looks like in practice. Without that structure, your team is basically a ship without a rudder. It just starts drifting away from the hotel's main goals. Individual underperformance? It goes completely unchecked until, bam, it's a major problem. And that leads directly to missed revenue, and, maybe just as importantly, their skills start to stagnate. And that is a huge loss for any organization.
So, this brings us right to our next crucial point. You have to measure what truly matters. To evaluate effectively, you can't just look at one number, one metric. You need a clear blueprint. And that blueprint, it's built on two really distinct but equally important dimensions of sales performance.
We've got to measure both the what and the how. So the what, that's the easy part, right? It's the tangible result, the numbers. But the how, that is just as critical. This is where we look at the qualitative side of things, the professionalism, the skills, and the behaviors that, at the end of the day, build your hotel's reputation.
Okay, so on the quantitative side, the what? These metrics are the bedrock. We're talking hard data, room nights sold, revenue generated, new corporate accounts. But look closer. We also have things like conversion rates and client response times. And these are interesting, right? Because they don't just measure the final result. They tell you a story about how efficiently and how effectively your team is actually working.
And then here's the how. These factors are absolutely vital for long-term success. Think about it. A salesperson might be hitting all their numbers, but if their communication is terrible or they're impossible to work with, well, that undermines the entire operation. It's these behaviors that sustain client loyalty and really define your hotel's brand.
Okay, so we know why we need to evaluate, and we know what we need to measure. That brings us to the engine of growth, the process itself. How do we actually do it? How do we conduct these evaluations in a way that drives constant improvement?
The key here is all about having a consistent rhythm. It's a cycle. First, you establish crystal clear key performance indicators, your KPIs. Then you use data-driven tools to track them. You have to maintain a regular schedule of reviews, not just once a year. And then, this is the most important part. You deliver feedback that is specific, actionable, and genuinely aimed at helping them grow.
And right at the heart of this data-driven approach is your CRM, your customer relationship management system. A modern CRM is so much more than just a fancy database. It's your objective source of truth. It allows leaders to stop guessing, to move beyond "I think you're doing well," and start using real evidence for coaching, because it tracks everything from lead conversions to how fast you reply to an inquiry.
All right, so what's the payoff for all this work? Why go through all the trouble? Because when you build a really solid evaluation process, the results go way, way beyond just a score on a review. This is where you see the real return on investing in your people. What you get is this powerful positive cycle. A strong evaluation culture directly fuels continuous improvement. And when people feel like they're growing, that boosts their engagement.
Engaged employees create stronger client loyalty. And critically, all of this helps you build your pipeline for future leaders, which secures the long-term health of your entire organization. See how it all connects?
Because ultimately, evaluation is all about development. It's just not about pointing out what someone did wrong. It's about building a personalized growth plan for what's next. It becomes their map. It shows them here's where you are, and it guides them to future success with targeted training and mentorship.
And I can't overstate this next point. A systematic evaluation process is hands down the most effective tool you have for identifying your high-potential employees. It lets you proactively get them ready to become your next generation of leaders. You're not just hoping for the best, you're actively preventing leadership gaps and ensuring your organization stays strong and stable.
So in the end, a transparent, constructive evaluation process does something truly profound. It builds a genuine culture of excellence. It helps create a growth mindset where challenges aren't scary, they're opportunities. And that boosts morale, it encourages innovation, and it makes the entire team stronger.
So I want to leave you with this question to think about. As you move forward in your careers, on your way to becoming the next leaders in hospitality, how are you going to use these principles? How will you use evaluation not just to manage, but to truly inspire, to develop, and to build your team's unique success story? Thank you for your time.